I think I'm going. I am, okay. For some reason, it's not showing up, or rather, it's showing up on my YouTube channel. It's just not showing up in my what do you call it? My actual thing. Apparently I'm live. I am live. Let's lower this and see what that sounds like. That sounds a bit better. Let's lower it a little bit more even there. And let's actually move my microphone so that way I'm like more audible. All right. So supposedly everything's working. It's pretty much ready to go. I guess just let me know when you're done. Cool, because there's some interesting things here. Are you aware of what my YouTube channel even is? You're gonna go to. You know what? Let me just copy it and then I'll paste it in our chat so you can just have it there. There, I sent it to you.
I've returned.
You see it? Yes. So you can see, like, you're on the actual stream now.
No.
Yes, you are. Okay. So, to show you off Clip Studio Paint. So I drew a little thingy here off to the side, so that way there's like a frame of reference for some things. Obviously, you've used Photoshop before, so you have like a layer system here that you can use. Where, I mean, I'm sure you know everything about like fucking the way layer systems work and opacity and all that. You can lower things so it's kind of see through. Do that, right? And then
keeps leaving ganchos in the floor. I keep stepping on them.
Basically, little, it's sort of standard where you can do that. You can make layers. You can change what they are. So I can go to multiply. Actually, here, look it. To show what you can do here. Say I wanted to paint this dude, and I wanted to paint him like some shade of blue, right? Let's go like a blue or green somewhere in this area. Go in with a brush pen, and I can just like paint this dude. We're gonna do a shitty job just for the sake of brevity. I can paint this guy, so now he has a skin tone, right? Now, let's say I wanted to add shadow to him, but I wanted that shadow to be consistent. That's where you would use some of the layer
Probably
styles.
deserve
I
it for
might
now. Just kidding.
I might want to use
I
his
don't know
or
how
get
that
his
sounds
hair
because
down
it's a
first.
deal. Sorry.
So let's do something similar, but let's make it bluer, so that he has somewhat of a consistent. I forgot his ears.
Oh.
Fuck his ears. We're gonna color those blue as well.
Interesting.
I'm like doing this, I guess not as fast as I could do it, but
Do I leave the light on?
one little tip at a time.
Cruise.
Um,
I'll just leave.
I can use like a layer style here. I've selected. Or no,
My back.
let's see here. Let's start a new one here. It's on top.
Oh my god, man.
We'll put it under so that way it's under our lines, but it's on top of our colors. I can take something like that and switch it to multiply. And if I decide I want everything to have a uniform shadow color,
how many
right?
Pills should I
Let's pretend this character,
Should I
it's
do one? Or should I
evening,
do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
so
6,
you're getting
7,
some of that like reddish, purplish light coming in. Well, I can pick something, and because I've used the multiply layer
I'm gonna do 2.
for that, it will actually use the same color across both, accounting for the difference in shades to actually fully like change it. And actually, let me show you something here. It has the same thing, like a lot of what do you call it? Drawing programs have this, and
Like taking pills.
I think Photoshop has it as well,
I
where
can't do
you
it
can.
correctly
Let me see
either.
here. Where is it
I
at?
struggle every time I fucking do it.
You can do. Oh, you set one of them as a reference layer. Which one's the reference layer? Here we go. And then I can go here and. Oh wait, no, that one's not it. That. So by setting it as like a reference layer, if I want to change things about this under one here, which is the actual this, I can make it so that way only that under layer is editable on the layer on top. Which in a function like this, like you don't necessarily need to do that for something that's like as simple as I'm gonna paint blah blah blah. But that can become way more useful if you've got inks down already and you want to fill entire areas without having to like paint it the way I was painting it before. So it has, you know, your basic stuff where you can have different layer styles. You can add, like screen would do the opposite. It would kind of make it lighter and it'll have a uniform brightness to it.
No.
And so you might use that for one of your highlighting things. That's all standard stuff, right? The reason why I really like Clip Studio Paint is personally, sometimes I'm like, I want to draw a character in a specific pose. Well, I can spend hours and hours on Pinterest trying to find a whole group of different pictures that if I kind of use a little bit from each one, I'll get close to that. Or I can come over here, I can click this little button, I can go to 3D, let's open that up, I can go to character, and let's say I want to use this guy as a stand-in, as my model to make something for this character that I've drawn here. Well, I can just kind of grab him and put him there, and there he is. And I can grab him, I can move him. There are different kinds of like things you can do with the camera, so you can rotate it around. I want something that's, you know, at a specific angle. Maybe I want to put him over here. Maybe I want to zoom out, zoom in. Well, I can also change his rotation. I can change where his position is. And you'll see that some objects actually have physics. So you can actually edit them. So if you're doing a scene where you're like, you know, you got two ninjas, one's chasing the other one, and you need to really sell the speed, well, you can do things, like I said, like editing the fucking aspects of their clothing to show that they're in motion. You can change their position very easily, rotating them, tilting them, this thing. And you can get granular with it too. All these options down here do their own separate set of things. So you have presets of where you want the camera to be at. Well, there you go. Boom. There you go. And it'll always go based off of where you last put it. So the fact that it kind of fucked it up means those camera angles aren't going to be 1-to-1. But obviously you would know what you're doing there. If you need to reset things, you can just boom, boom. You can figure out, you can save poses like that you want to use over and over again. Easy to do stuff so that way, like if you're depicting characters running or walking together, stuff like that, it helps streamline what you're doing. But you can also edit it more specifically. This model doesn't have more faces, but you can download extra assets using Clip Studio's like asset store. A lot of the assets are free, some of them are paid, but even the paid ones are like, you know, a couple bucks, like really not that big of a deal. And that's like a whole other section where you can basically download work that other people have done so that way you can figure out how to use it for yourself. Not just that though, let's say I want this character, but I want him specifically in this living room. I forgot that my size for this canvas is going to be way different, but it will actually just import the whole fucking thing.
You know what, bitch?
Here.
No, you can't come over no more.
Let me see here. Which one of these is the scale one? I've forgotten.
No.
But do you see how this is a whole fucking apartment building? I now have the ability, using this apartment building and this character, to I'm clicking weird things, to move him wherever the fuck I want to in this, and it also guarantees that if I change the camera angle at all, I can keep him consistent in a space that is already preset. And if you really wanted to, like, you know, like, no, I don't want to use other people's shit. Well, outside of... So, one thing is Clip Studio Paint is not just Clip Studio Paint, it's Clip Studio. Another thing that it has, when you get Clip Studio Paint, is... I'm going to pull it over here so you can see it. Clip Studio Modeler, which is a whole separate thing you can use to build your worlds. Like, you can build those apartment buildings you want, you can build characters you want, and you can spend hours doing that shit. I haven't even looked at everything that's in there. But as you can see, like, even here, it's got this little, like, cloud thing. These are just the preset ones. If you go into, in fact, let's bring it back over here. Into here, there is, you can see that I have 0 gold and 0 clippy points or whatever, but most of them are free. You can go to Clip Studio Assets. And you gotta wait a little bit for it to load right now because I'm running hella shit on my computer.
No.
But
Just wake up at 12 and then from there
you now have access to poses, textures, image materials, objects, and each one of them gets saved to a different, like, section in Clip Studio. So, like, say I wanted to, I'm working on more, you know, trying to streamline what I'm doing. I don't want to have to spend all my time building things. Well, guess what? People have spent all of their time building things already, and as you can see, a lot of these are just straight free. You get chairs, sofas, shoes, characters, towns, things that aren't in there that you just download. They pop up in that modeling thing that I was showing you. And then you just literally drag and drop them into your canvas, maneuver them however you need them to be for that specific section, and then it's as easy as just like, I'm going to do the same way I would treat an image file. I'm going to grab him, and I'm going to make him like, what do you call it? Oh, actually, let me see here. I can grab him, and I can put him under a layer that already exists. So here's my inks, or not my inks, my sketch there. Say I wanted to draw this stupid position here that he's in. Let's not spend too much actual time trying to make him look cool. Now I can just sort of, you know, like, okay, he's here. There's his general face. Boom. Get his chest going on here.
Already? Fucking fat ass. I'm kidding. I have a bag of turbos.
one just to get sort of an idea of where, boom, that's exactly the space that he was in, and now I can stop referencing him entirely. I've got his pose down, and if I wanted to take this dude here and add him to this, I would do it the way I would normally draw, except I don't have to worry about finding as many references because I have all of this built-in reference material just available for me. And at any moment, if for some reason it doesn't already have what I want, somebody else has probably already made what I want, or made something so close to it that I pop into the modeler for like 10 minutes, figure it out, move back, and then suddenly, boom, everything's taken care of. And it helps with, specifically for me as a use case, the reason why I really like that is because like I said, I'm working on like a whole comic. When people do that, they usually do that with like 8 other people. Someone's handling background, someone's handling lettering, someone's handling tones. Like, it's a whole fucking thing. The program, Clip Studio Paint, is making each one of those steps so fucking easy for me that, like, yeah, I have to do some of that stuff myself, but really not the lion's share of it. The lion's share of it is done by things that are already in the program. And they have so many features in it that, like, make the whole process so close to just regular drawing.
This
Like,
angle of my bed feels better.
Yeah, I could have spent a hell of a long time posing that dude into something really cool. They also just already have character poses done here.
Never mind.
For individual if you move the hands, by the way, to a character model over their hands, it just changes their hands, which is really cool because sometimes you find a really good pose, and then you're like, okay, how do I make, I like 90% of this. I want to change this guy's hands.
I don't know, I'm really
Instead of
used to sitting
individually
on the
moving the
very edge of
fingers,
bed.
well, I can just kind of find a thing and then drop it in, and then it'll do the thing. Yeah, it's
Because when I was
it's
little, I had to
badass,
share
dude.
with my sister and my mom.
And I don't know if you can see this.
They
This
put
is
me
a
in the middle on
shit
the very
ton
edge. 'Cause
that
apparently
it
I take
comes
up too
with.
much
And by the way,
space.
fight scenes.
But like I was about
I don't know if you noticed that,
from falling
but like
off.
some of these are like, yeah, some of them are just like reclining, drinking coffee, whatever. But you will see uppercut. You will see people running. Like you can do a lot with this with minimal editing, and then also a lot of these are great if you just have like crowd scenes and you're like, fuck it, I need them to look like they're people doing shit. Well, in the background, I'll have somebody just picking something up, and then maybe someone next to them at this thing is like, come back here, goddammit. Is like, oh, he missed the bus, He missed the bus. He's facing towards the bus he missed, and then this person's sort of further away. Oh shit, wrong one. And they're putting their shoes on a park bench in the background. And now there's a little bit more life to the scene, and I've literally just dragged them in and rotated some of them instead of having to think about all this on my own and frankly take a lot longer than I need to. It's just it's super fucking easy. Like, there's so much about this program that's badass. That's my favorite thing, is posing, but also, I mean, it's got like, it comes with a lot of like pens or whatever. You can download all these Japanese ones are all ones that I've downloaded because I like the way that they look a little bit better than some of the default ones for different use cases. It's got sort of standard stuff that you'll see. I think Photoshop does have stuff like this where, you just get different kinds of brushes or whatever. But there are also really interesting things that you can do. Like these, which just paint specifically in halftones. It kind of does help with this effect that you see here. And it's a thing that you'll see in any kind of program. It's just a sort of consequence of computers working with halftones. This repeated pattern that as you go out, sometimes it can give you this like weird effect. I don't know if you can see, you can kind of see it like right there, where you get like almost like an Argyle thing going on, or a plaid thing going on. It almost looks like it's changing. Um, the algorithm that this program uses actually makes it so that way, even if you see this effect happening, if I export this, say I wanted to make a T-shirt and I drew art, and then I backed out at a certain point, and I was like, oh, this kind of has a weird effect. Well, once I export it, it's going to export it, taking in the DPI and the size, and it will auto distance each one of these dots so that way once it's printed, this is not an actual issue. You don't ever actually see a weird pattern going on. I can get granular with it. You can actually edit these to change the spacing of the dots on the y-axis and the x-axis, but I don't need to. I can do that so that way if the final look, I want it to be a little bit different, sure, but I never have to do it because I'm worried it won't come out well, because the program's already going to handle that. It's already going to figure out mathematically what is going to look better at what size. Which I don't know, I don't know if you're thinking of at any point about being like, oh, I'm going to make T-shirts or stickers or whatever, but at least in the future you would know that with this program that's not going to be that big of an issue. Those are just erasers. They erase. You know what erasers do. Right. But one thing that I like too is the blend tool, right? It's not just a simple blend tool where like, yeah, I can do this and it mixes the colors into one space. I can actually change the degree to which it does that, how hard it does it, and how much at once. So you can actually see that marker disappearing. And I can do this with every like tool here on the side has extensive options like that. So that way it will, I can get as like specific as I want to with it. It has things like liquify. That's not the way you would use liquify, but like, if for some reason I was like, this shoulder should be a little bit higher, I'll kind of position it differently, and I'll change the way that it's pushing things. So there you go. I needed it to be a little bit bigger. Give them one really swole arm, or I need it to kind of turn. Boom. You can get really specific with that, so that way you can, rather than having to redraw a whole area, you just kind of move things into the position they're supposed to. So let me see here. This here, paint unfilled area, you would use this for the exact purpose that it sounds like. So like if I were painting an entire area and there was one section that was closed up but not filled, I could just fill it. You can do it so that way it only refers to the layer that you're on. You can do it so it refers to every layer. You can use it, the way that a paint bucket normally works. It's got gradients and shit. It's got, oh yeah, because it's specifically, like, this is designed for you to do stuff like manga with. It has the ability to do these, like, things. So if you're just like, I want it to look intense, boom. And you can change what direction they come from and all that. So that way they're not just, like, from the middle. It has ways that you can create panels. Free form, but then it also has templates in that same section that I was showing you. Here, where is it at? Image materials. Oh yeah, it has things like this, where I don't want to draw a zipper, so I can just download, or I can just pull in the texture for a zipper, and then manipulate it so that way it lines up on a particular character's clothing, and now I don't have to spend forever drawing a bunch of little shit. It's got a bunch of those books, so that way you can fill up things. It's also got, if I wanted mosaics for some reason, like if you were drawing a popular style of manga, porn, it's always pixelated, so boom. You've got, fun word bubbles, and this thing when Charlie Brown is mad. Oh, that's not downloaded, never mind.
I don't even say gosh.
But
when
like,
have I ever said gosh?
You just have all of these materials ready to go in case you were like, yeah, I want to do a comic.
I say good lord.
Well, you can probably just find ones in here, and then as you can see, there are just templates done. If you're like, you know what, I don't want to think about the structure of this, I'm just going to fit it to be You know, I'll fit my story to be one of these panels or whatever. There are already so many that are made. You can just use templates for whatever. I guess all this to say, one of the reasons why I really like Clip Studio Paint is it allows you to be really lazy about things and really only work on the aspects of your project that you actually like want to. I don't have to sit down and be like, damn, I want to draw, and then spend 40 minutes of pre-work before I start drawing to figure out how I want it to be done. I can very easily get it done how I'm imagining it. And just, I mean, the amount of materials it gives you to just pull from immediately. All of the things that are that I've downloaded pop up into this thingy. So different textures, different tones, different pens. So like it's easy. You just have like a lot of manga materials. You have modeling as like a whole thing, and these are not all the tools that you get access to. Through the same thing where I was showing you where you download things, you download more tools too. One of those pens in there, I haven't updated it yet, so I'm not going to show you. But it's a pen where you can like do what I just did here, where it's like, okay, I want this character to like, you know, he's all red. Well, I could set the layer that the pens are on as a reference layer, and then when I go in and erase, it would only erase around the unfilled section and leave me with exactly what I need. Yeah. So it just makes things pretty simple. The only thing that I dislike is the ruler system, and it's just because if you're using things like perspective rulers specifically, that's fine, right? A perspective ruler on 2 axes, that's perfectly simple to use. I can now just draw lines along it, and now I know where things come in, where things come out, and it'll sort of auto keep me on track. The only problem is, I don't know if you saw that a little while ago, I started drawing too close to one of the lines, and the program wasn't sure which line I was trying to use it on, and so even though I was trying to paint here, it was painting up here. It will do that. It's really dumb, and the only way to get around it is to either start way back and go forward, or zoom in really fucking close. But that issue really only comes into play when you're using rulers, and specifically the perspective ones, because that's when you start getting a lot of intersecting lines. That being said, having perspective rulers is better than not. And then there's, you know, word balloon things. That's also, you know, if you're doing comics or whatever, it's not really going to be that big of a deal. Otherwise, it does have vector, like, tools. I rarely use them because I rarely need to use vector work, but it is a thing. So, I don't know. I like it a lot. I like Clip Studio Paint as a thing. I highly recommend Clip Studio Paint as a thing. It kicks ass. They do have a subscription-based thing, which normally I'm not a big fan of subscriptions. Like, I fucking hate... It's one of the reasons why I stopped using Adobe as a thing, is their cloud, like, service. I hate it. I hate that shit so much. Not that the programs themselves are bad, it's just, it's so goddamn expensive in order to use the Creative Cloud for things. The amount that you pay on a regular basis, like your monthly plans for Clip Studio Paint, it says that it starts at 99 cents a month. That's wrong, but, well, not really wrong, but that's for, like, if you're using it on an iPad or whatever. You're using a much smaller version of it. If you're using the actual, like, pro version, it's like a little bit... I don't remember how much it is. Let me see here. But they do have, like, a monthly pass. I remember it's not that big of a deal. Like, it's fairly inexpensive. Oh, actually, it's way cheaper now. Oh, maybe because they're coming out with Clip Studio Paint 2, but which 2 has way more features. The modeling system is expanded, so you can actually change, um, like they have presets for like faces, so that way if you're like, oh, I want a specific expression, you can model the expression in, so that way, I don't know if that's gonna be helpful for some people, I guess. Um, but like everything, it just gets a little bit more fleshed out, and they did add a couple more tools, but that's Clip Studio Paint version 2. Apparently, version 1 right now for a 12-month license is $25, which if you were going to subscribe, you'd get Clip Studio Paint 2 and all those features. Um, and that might be more worth it. But if you already have version 1, then just making the upgrade to version 2 feels like it would make more sense. And if you don't give a shit about version 2, just buy version 1. Uh, this is it. It's very good. And it's $25 for a year. I dislike that it is now, like, it's $25 for a year. When I bought this, you just buy it. Yeah, I just bought it the one time, and I got to use it. I've been using it for years. And yeah, it was just a one-time purchase. Oh, I guess no, they do still have a one-time purchase option. Apparently, it's $50. So yeah, no, the whole thing did come down in price, because I think when I got it on sale for maybe $40, but I think at the time it was like 70 or 80. But it's, from what I'm seeing on their website, yeah, I don't see why I wouldn't. Like that's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, well, I would at least they have a pretty extensive trial. Like your trial, you get to use everything. So use that, like download it, and then fuck around in it. Do whatever you need to do. Um, I'm sure once you start getting used to it, I would suggest actually put in some time on that modeler. It's gonna be a little bit weird initially, because that's an entirely separate process than just drawing. So you might have to set aside a couple hours uh, over time to really figure it out. But once you get it down and you understand what button does what and how to get the poses you want out of it, it is really really useful. My only recommendation is that like this drawing here that I did based off of that weird pose it had, it's stiff. It's stiff as fuck. Even if you're going to model it in a way where it's under motion, you're drawing someone running. If you were to one-to-one trace over it, you would still get some of that stiffness in it. So my recommendation would be use the modeler. It's great as a point of reference, but definitely use it as a reference. The way that I did it here, where I drew everything out, is not the way that I would normally do it. I would just sort of, rather than drawing it over it, let me see here. There we go, yes, that one's it. So, the way that I would normally do it is, instead of having it be, what do you call it? Instead of drawing directly over it to try to get the exact pose down, I just have it here and I draw it off to the side, because now I don't have to stick specifically to this. My line of action is there. He's supposed to be there. Boom, 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 boom. It's still gonna be awkward because his pose is very awkward. But I could just sort of, his elbows there, and I can base it off of him rather than doing a paint over. Anytime you're using something like this, dude here, you're gonna get like a weird stiffness. So I would just caution you away from doing that unless it is background characters where you're not even going to really draw their faces in that much and they're just going to kind of take up shapes. Or unless it's like you're doing a close up on somebody's like hand or something, where it's fine because you're getting really granular with it and you're going to be really close and you're not going to need that motion in there in the first place. Otherwise, I would caution you away from painting over it, and I would say just you're using this as a frame of reference the same way you would use any other picture. Oh, there is one feature actually that I would say is almost entirely worth it for the upgrade to Clip Studio Paint 2. It has a function where if I'm drawing a dude and I'm like, oh, I want his hand to look a certain way, well, I can just activate my camera on my computer and pose my real life hand in the camera, and the program will go, oh, that's the way Homeboy's hand is supposed to go, and just transfer it to the model instead of having to like find a pose that's similar and then move it a little bit. It will just take a picture of my hand and use that as the basis for the model, which, you know, if you're doing something like a comic, is totally worthwhile. If you're just doing drawings and stuff, like, yeah, there are other programs you could use, but this one still has a lot of materials to it that I really like. I like the entire modeling section because I am personally not someone who is good at 3D modeling art programs. And this one does it so sort of simple. Oh, yeah, there's also these. I'm not going to show you them because I haven't downloaded them. But, like, if you were to draw an outside scene, I would just drag and drop this, and it would fill the area. It would pick a point to be the floor. It would fill an area with a picture of the forest, and I can just put Homeboy in the middle of the forest, and now I have a forest scene that I can reference. Yeah, you could also change, like, where is it at? Is it this? Yes, where you can change specific parts of someone's body or face or hair. And then obviously the store is going to have a lot of different things. I just think this program's badass. Also, it takes up less RAM than you would think. Like, it still makes your computer less slow than running Photoshop. And you're literally running like 3 different programs at once. So, like, it's not as demanding. There's a lot of badass stuff you can do with it. I, personally, really enjoy what this whole thing is. Oh, and then also, it has, like, a really heavy tutorial section. So if you're ever like, oh, fuck, I don't know what to do here, you can look up your problem on their official thing and get an answer to your problem. So there's like entire tutorials that are free that they've officially put out to like show you how to use their modeling software, how to use. There's animation things in this, which personally I've never tried out because I'm not an animator, but it does have an entire animation section where you can do like onion skinning. So that way you can make pretty simple animation. And I have seen people do some pretty intense animation with it too, but that's not been my personal area of focus. And then also it has, like, weirdly enough, it has like a social media aspect to it where when you're done making a story or an art piece, you can officially upload it to Clip Studio and share it to other people who use the program. I've never done it because I've never figured out why I would, but I could see someone doing it. And then it has native, so that way if you wanted to make webtoons, you can export to webtoons specifically. It shows you how to publish things to Amazon directly from here. So if you were like, I'm going to sell a comic online, boom, there you go. It's super simple. Let me show you the run through of how you start like making things. You can like there's presets for different things um, with like if you're making webtoons, this is perfect for it because it will when you export it. All like almost all webtoons are vertical scroll, and so this just gives you the presets for them, so you never have to do weird things where you adjust them for yourself to try to figure out, how to make it best look on webtoons or Tapas or whatever. And then they have regular comic things where you can figure out what pages you want, blah blah blah. I use this one because it also gives me sizes for Japanese mangas. So if I wanted to make mine look manga style, I don't have to worry about formatting at all. It's already built in. So that way, if I were like, you know what, I want this to be in the style of a Shonen Jump magazine, well, it's there. I don't have to worry. I just do this, and then I click OK, and that's the exact size and template I would need. So that way, I can make my manga at the size it's supposed to be, not have to worry about a damn thing, send it out to a printer, and it'll get printed the way that I want it to. So it just has like a lot of quality of life things that are badass. So I don't know. For the price, I would recommend it. Like your other option is GIMP. GIMP is good. GIMP has not as many of these things. It doesn't have the modeling thing. The tools aren't as good, but it's usable. And you can definitely do like people draw using GIMP all the time. It has a lot of useful things about it. But if I had to choose between the two, knowing full well that I can get Clip Studio One for like very little bit for like $25, I would rather pay the $25 to just get Clip Studio One. Like you know? And also, how long have you been drawing for? How long have you been drawing for? Like, how much do you know about like what you're doing? Because okay, because again, they have their whole like tutorial thing, and yeah, some of it is here's how you use the program. If it'll fucking load, some of it is just here's how you do things. Like, here's how you make fantasy settings. Here's how you paint backgrounds. Here's how you learn how to do dynamic posing. Like, buying the program also buys you a shit ton of access to, like, just learning things about digital art. I wanted to make comics, right? Well, it shows me, like, a shit ton of different tutorials to do exactly that. Same thing with animation, character art. Let's see here. Let's say I would want to do concept art. Boom, how to design things. And each one of these is, its own little thing showing you how to, it's a nice little learning section. I've looked at a few of these from time to time just to actually, was it this one? It might be this one actually that I used to learn how to use the 3D modeling thing in the first place. But it's got a lot of cool stuff, and I like it a lot, and I waste so much time on this fucking thing. I think it's cool, and as you can see, I've half started some things. The little Dominatrix comic that I did, and then the thumbnails I'm working on for my new thingy. But yeah, it's got a lot to it, and I think it's something that's definitely well worth the money. Because I don't know, I don't think it's that much, especially compared to Adobe Creative Cloud. You know what? You got a point. Because I know fucking Adobe Creative Cloud, like, I know if you were to get all of them for like a month, it's over $50 a month. And then I think if you're just using like I think Photoshop and I think it's InDesign or Illustrator. I don't remember, but I know that shit's like $30 or something. And so for me to go like, okay, I could pay like, for each one maybe like 20 something dollars a month versus just going to Clip Studio Paint and paying twice that but having it for the whole last year. I'd rather pay twice that for the whole last year rather than half of it for 1 month. Oh yeah, and then I was going to tell you, or I was going to show you, right? The thing that I was telling you about, it's got time lapse features. Unfortunately, at this point, I do not know how to set it to record a time lapse every time. Apparently, there's a way to do that. I don't know if that's a 2.0 feature or if I'm just too stupid to figure it out. That could be the case, but you would just click record time lapse, and then every time that you save it, it saves your progress so far, and so at any point you can export a time lapse of all of the work that you've done to that point to show, which I think I actually have one that I did recently to kind of show you. Is it this? Okay, yes, it is this one. Hold on, wait. And like it's it's time lapse. It's not that complicated, but like I've forgotten to click it before I did the initial sketch. But like it is just sort of like here's the process of doing a thingy. And so if you were like, okay, I want to upload some of the stuff I do online, post the actual drawings. I could also post the process of me making the drawing. Well, you can kind of do both from the same program. It's very remedial. There's no voiceover feature. There's no adding music or anything, but that's a simple, you just pop it into TikTok, and then TikTok has its own thingy, or throw it up on YouTube, and YouTube has its own editing thing, though I wouldn't recommend using YouTube's editor. Oh, okay. I don't know, maybe they're having a thingy. Let me see here. Okay. The up to 6 months for free is if you're using it for like a Galaxy phone. If you're using it for Windows, up to 3 months free though. That's good. Okay, I guess it's a promo for their version too. So yeah, I would say yeah, do it. Fuck around with it, dude. It's a badass app. I dig it. I have fun with it. Yes. What are you looking at so far? Uh, yeah. Personally, like I said, I use a Wacom one. I've been using it for like a year now. It's badass. It is $400, um, which is not cheap. Uh, but again, Wacom's thing, they have like where they do like the refurbished ones, and their quality control is super good. The one that I have is actually a refurbished one. I think I paid maybe like 100 and something bucks for it. Like, not in terms of tablets that have a screen you can draw on. Um, Not that bad, because usually they're pretty expensive. Like even Wacom's other pen displays are expensive, because the one that I wanted to get from them um was I think it was the Cintiq Pro, but it's like $1,500, which is obviously way too much money for me to spend on anything. So the fact that like I literally found out about this because I was listening to like a comic book podcast, uh, like from guys who tell you how to make comics, which they kick ass. But they got a sponsorship from Wacom to do, specifically for the Wacom one. And they're talking about it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, this shit's like cheap. It's like $400." And then I was like, "Shit, that's steep. Let me go on their website anyway and see it." And then I also saw that they do refurbished ones, and I happened to find a refurbished one for significantly less than the actual sticker price, and it was badass. Let's see here. Okay. Having shortcut keys is good. Okay, battery free pen. That is very good. The Wacom One comes with a battery free pen. Basically, it's just like uh, your pen is just a really cool magnet, and the power is generated by the screen. It just, in the simplest terms, figures out where the magnet is, and how much pressure the magnet is applying, and that's how it works. It's super simple, but I prefer them because I've had previous tablets where they're battery operated, and before the battery even dies, when it just like starts to kind of go, you start getting issues like skipping or it'll go out of sync faster, things like that. So having something where it's just a battery free pen works perfectly fine. Um, you definitely want to make sure. Wait, this says 11.6 inch. Is that the whole thing or is it the screen? Let me see here. Because the actual working area of your okay, oh, it's 10 by 5, almost 10 by 6. That's pretty good. I mean, yeah, if you're seeing good reviews for it, that's always a good that's always a good thing. But well, yeah, Clip Studio kicks ass, dude. Oh, okay. You know what? I'm seeing, yeah, I'm seeing all of them. People are saying it's good. I always like to look at the 1 star ones, and it seems like yeah, you got a point, yeah. Yeah, like as far as negative reviews, I'm seeing like, oh, it has a lot of cables, which the fucking Wacom one has. Let me see here. One, two, technically three, but one of them is like a double thingy. So I would say I would count it as 3 cables because it doesn't come out of the Wacom one as 3 cables, but it hits my floor as 3 cables, and that's the more important part. So having quite a few of those is not that big of a deal. And then some people were was just like, hey, it was broken when it came in, which is a thing that happens when you ship stuff sometimes. But as far as actual issues with it, apparently it's not great if you're left-handed. That's it. Oh my god. So it seems like it's fine. It seems like it's you probably would not be too upset with the purchase. And then also I'd have to imagine if it's not that great, you probably wouldn't notice anyway because you've never used something like this. Because my first tablet that I ever used was not a screen one. It was one of the other ones, like just the regular pen ones. And Does Farm Sim? I don't know. I feel like I get an email about it pretty regularly. Ugh, why? I mean, yeah. Wait, which one specific? You're talking about the newest Farm Sim, right? Farm Sim 22. I'm pretty sure. Let's see here. Do I already have it? Oh yeah, Farm Sim 22. I do have it. Apparently, I don't even have it installed.